So at Third Sun, we install on homes, businesses, nonprofits, church, municipalities. And so a lot of these systems are tied to a specific inverter called Solar Edge. And what the inverter does is taking the sun's direct current. So you can see the rays hitting this barn. That sun's direct current is being converted into a device called an inverter that is alternating current, AC, that our homes, businesses, and the grid uses. So that device is what provides the monitoring systems. So we connect to either your Wi-Fi. We can connect through Wi-Fi. We can hardwire into your router, or we can actually use a cell card and have cell service if those other options aren't available. So this has a lot of benefits, and so I'll go into why your system, how to monitor the system and use the portal, and then Third Sun's use of monitoring the system as well. And so on the residential side, this is a typical sized inverter. Majority of these are going to be located in a basement, but here is a nice clean installation outside. And just to give you the size of the scale of the Solar Edge HD wave inverters. And so this is the device that's switching the DC to AC. And like I said, we'll tie that in to whatever communications we can so that you can monitor the system. So on the right corner is kind of a screenshot of the Solar Edge monitoring through the app. So Solar Edge has a website portal that you can access on your browser, your desktop, your laptop. But any smart devices, tablets, or phones, you can use the Solar Edge app, and that's available in the Android store and as well as the Apple store. And so a lot of our customers like the smartphone apps. It allows them to actively monitor their system. So they can pull it up, and I'll go over all the different options you have. But you can see here that shows you the day. You can go by week, month, year, and billing, and I'll go into more about that as well. A lot of people love to use the app to show off their system to their friends and family. So if someone says, hey, I heard you went solar, how's that going for you? You can pull up your phone, you can go and see how your system is doing at that moment. And then you can also show them how it's done all year, how the week is gone or the month is gone. So it's a great tool to communicate how the system works and kind of demystifies it for people as well. You'll also be able to actually export your production data into an Excel sheet through this portal. So a lot of people are keeping record and track of how the system does, and that is a good way to do that. And then later on, I'll talk a little bit more, but a really key part that you can use and that we can access too is seeing the monitoring as a way to troubleshoot or potential maintenance. So if their system is wrong, something's wrong with a panel, you'll be able to see that on the app, and that gives you a good reason to give us a call and see that we can actively access it and diagnose the system remotely. So to start, when you get on to your dashboard, what is happening when we're installing, we will actually set you up and make sure that this is all connected so that you can register, you can do your own login to the Solar Edge app and the website so that you can access and see your system. Like I said, we also have access to this. And so some of these options are only on our view, but most of the time you'll see the dashboard and the layout. So when you get to onto the website, it'll have this option where you can toggle through the dashboard and the layout, and also showing you historical and current production. So how is the system producing right now? What did it do today? How much energy this month? And lifetime production since the system has been installed. So right now I'm going to focus on the dashboard page. So here, when you scroll down on the dashboard, on the right-hand corner, I blocked off some of the personal information, but it'll have your name, your address, when the system was installed. So this system that we're looking at was installed in August of 2016. And then when this app was last updated. So I took a screenshot of this yesterday. And the cool thing about this stage, we're looking at the day. So we're looking at October 21st. So yesterday's production. This part, when you're looking at your daily production, updates every 15 minutes. So you'll be able to see how your system has done and how it's progressed through the day. And so going here, you can see throughout the night, the sun was not out, so the system is not performing. As the sun starts to peak out around 8 o'clock, the system starts to wake up and you can see the increases in production. And a lot of these ups and downs, those can be several things. So cloud coverage. This system was up in Northeast Ohio. It was pretty cloudy yesterday morning, but in the afternoon, we had blue skies. And so you can see that spike of production climbing in and past noon, and those ups and downs as well. So clouds passing by, maybe there's shade on the property that may affect it at a certain time. All those things you'll be able to see through the monitoring app. Also, if you go back to the right, it'll break down, you have weather data. So again, yesterday it was pretty cloudy and rainy. And then you can see this week it's going to get a little bit more sunny, and then Friday, mostly sunny up here in the Northeast Ohio area. So you know that, okay, my system may not be producing as much as it usually does on this cloudy day, but on Friday, it's definitely going to produce more than today. And then also a rolling figure here of the environmental benefits. So since this system was installed in 2016, it shows over 96,000 pounds of CO2 emissions saved, and also about 730 trees equivalent of clean energy that was produced. So that figure is always going to update, and that's right here on your dashboard. And so you can look at how it's doing to the day. You can look at how it's performing during the week. So again, you can see those ups and downs and how different the system produces per day based on weather patterns. Also the month as well. So you can break it down and see how your system is performed each day of the month. And then lastly, here is probably one of my favorites, and this is the billing cycle. So the billing cycle is referencing based on your electric bill. So a lot of electric companies like First Energy, AEP, Duke Energy, their billing cycle range of days is not the first to the end of the month a lot of times. So a lot of times it's just in the second or third week each month. It starts and ends in that second or third week as well. So when you get your bill, and I go over this with my customers, we take a look at, okay, what is the range of the dates that your system was performing and when you're getting billed. And so we take that date, and let's assume it's September 22nd. So we can put that range in here that you're getting billed from September 22nd to September 21st. And so by looking at it this way, we can make sure that the utility is accounting for the electricity that you're sending back to the grid, and also that you have an idea on how much energy is being used at the house. So we've done other webinars on, how solar works, how net metering works, so you can go check those out on YouTube. But a brief description is, when your system is performing, that energy is being used at the home first, and then any excess solar that is produced that the home does not need will go back into the grid. And so at the end of the billing period, the utility will take a look at how much you sent them versus what you took from them. And that is the figures that will be shown on your bill post-solar. And so we can take a look at those figures and make sure that it's accounting for what was produced, and just double checking the utilities work, and so that you can understand how you're being billed. So the billing cycle is a great tool that you can use, and I highly recommend, if we have any customers, existing customers on this, I highly recommend you check that out and compare that to your bill. One thing to note, that this figure, so on this bill range, 1.2 megawatt hours, which is the same as 1,200 kilowatt hours, this number will always be higher than what your bill shows that you sent them. And that main reason is because you're using that energy at the home first. So if anyone has questions on that, or wants me to review the bill with this monitoring, I'm happy to do that. All right, so now this will go into the layout view. So you would be able to access this on both the dashboard and the phone and see how each panel is operating. So I chose a pretty large system. It has 3 different arrays, and the top of the screen is north, so all these panels are facing south, and then we have a panel array over here facing the west. And so also here, this green box is your inverter. So how much energy is coming in total of the system into that inverter. So this is cool to see. You can see the impacts of shade. So maybe a tree is in the morning time and affecting some of these eastern panels. You'll be able to see, okay, well, past 9 o'clock, this starts to catch up with the rest of the panels here. And then the western array, you can see, if you can see these figures, a lot of the south-facing arrays were producing over 500 watt hours yesterday at around 4 o'clock. The western ones are a little bit lower, just because it's not getting as much solar production. It's only getting western direct light. And so you can see how those differ there. The biggest thing that we use this for is if a panel is not producing. So if you come on your app and you see that one of your panels is not producing any energy, but all of them around them are, and there's no shade impacting the system, well, there may be an issue with either the optimizer or with the panel itself. So this would be a good opportunity for you to call our maintenance department, and we can access this monitoring, and we can diagnose and see what the issue potentially is, and then send someone out to fix that and resolve that issue. Another cool part of the layout is that you can do a playback. So you can see how each panel has performed during the week. And if you press play here, it'll start at midnight on here. It has October 16th, and it'll show you how each panel during each hour of the day, how that is changing in its production. So you can do that on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly, and then also cumulative. So this system's been producing since 2016. You can see how much each panel has produced through that whole time. Here, going back to the dashboard, you can do an annual view as well. So how the system is produced in a calendar year. And then also energy over time since the system's been installed. So you can see the difference in the variables to how a system has been produced. And so you can see comparing, if you look at June, this year, 2020, the system produced highest that it ever did after being 4 years old. And so there's a lot of seasonality to that. Northeast Ohio had very little rain or cloud cover this June, so that could be a big impact here. But this is nice to see, just to show you how seasonality can play a big role in how your system is doing. And this is all accessible on the dashboard for you. So as I mentioned, Third Sun uses this as well. And so the biggest way is, like I mentioned before, so if you see an issue or your system's not performing, you give us a call, and then we can jump on our end of the portal, and you can see how many systems that we have that are connected to this Solar Edge. We have plenty more systems of this, but these are all the ones that are connected to Solar Edge and have monitoring associated with them. So if you have an issue, we can find your system and we can access it and see if we can diagnose each issue as well. It's also a good way for us to, be very locked in how systems produce. So with over 150 systems in the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio area, we have a good idea of how they'll produce. So when you're working with us before the installation stage, we can be very locked in and take your site conditions specifically to show how much a system will produce for you.